and I'll give you, or we'll give you, an overview. Let's start. This thing is titled Variable Fonts and Glyphs, so we'll give you a brief overview of how to make a variable font in Glyphs. So, and until recently, wait a minute, I don't see anything here. Oh, I should stay here. Okay. Next slide, please. My lovely young assistant, Georg Seifert. Thank you. It's his first day on the job. So. Okay. Until very recently, this was our setup or our user interface for managing your masters and your instances. And you see one problem that we have here is that here under proportions, we had three fixed axes, pre-selected for the user, weight, width, and a custom axis that you could set. Technically, you could set up to 6 axes, but you had to use Python for that. Now, we had to make our user interface a little more variable, and this is what it turned into. We removed 2 of the 3 axes, and now it's only 1. No, just kidding. What you actually do is, and that should be on the next slide, you define your own axes, and in any shape, form, and order you like, up to 6 again. And once you're done, the user interface in the other tabs actually adapts. Yeah. And so we don't only make variable fonts, we have a variable user interface for that. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, one thing, so you don't need to have weight and width in the first 2 spots. That's just that's just an accident. You could have any order.
Yeah, the order does not matter. Anything you like.
So, and tiny bit for the technical people, internally all the fields are still named the same. So it's a bit annoying, but that will be fixed in the future.
So, all right. Basically, all you do once you've set up your axes is you give you can set up your masters as you've known from the past. You give it a name. The name of the master is now completely flexible. You can give it any name you like. You set the coordinate number 2. Of course, each master has to have a different coordinate on the axis. And now, what's new now in Glyphs 2.5 beta is that you can pick. Or you can fine-tune the master icon, in this case the lowercase n, or you see at the bottom of this number 3 item here, you can add a glyph name that you like. So if you think that that not your lowercase n but your uppercase x is more descriptive of what your master looks like, then you type in the glyph name in there, and that will be displayed in the buttons then. Yes, and then you export. That's it. We have had variation font exports for quite a while now. We've been fine-tuning it and making it better all along. And then after you've exported it, you can test it. Now in Adobe Apps, top left, and on Axis Praxis, of course, at the bottom, and relatively new for those of you who have been using Mecha Blue scripts. The Mecha Blue scripts now contain a variable font test script. Who has been using Mecha Blue scripts? Oh, this is the highest amount of Mecha Blue scripts users ever encountered in a. Thank you. I'm really flattered. Okay. Yes, excellent. So it's so great to see my things being used out there. Okay. Of course, so what you've seen so far is basically an adapted multiple master workflow. But of course, we know, and that's the next slide. So you would set up your glyphs as you would for multiple masters with overlaps and all these nice things. But we know variable fonts can do much more than just simulate multiple masters. And for this, we introduced something called the virtual master. And the virtual master looks like this. So give you an example here. We have an uppercase A, and we want to not only have it on the weight axis, so that would be those two masters on the left, but we would also want to have a crossbar height axis. Yeah? So you slide it down, you have a low crossbar, you slide it up, you have a high crossbar. And what you do is you introduce a second axis, and you only need to add one extra virtual master, we call it. It's called a virtual master because it is not added as a master to the complete font, but only to certain glyphs. For instance, you don't need a crossbar master for your uppercase O, for instance. Yeah? It doesn't make any sense. So you would only add it to glyphs like A, E, and H, maybe. And for those, we are repurposing a technique we developed in the past called the brace layers. You see that here on the right, between light and bold. And you see the curly braces, and between the curly braces, it says the design space coordinates of that particular virtual master. Yes, and that way we can, it's called the virtual master, and that way the deltas can be added, and this works pretty nicely. So you don't need to have the fourth master in the opposite design space corner. There's other things with it. I told you about the repurposing the brace trick. So next thing, please. So the brace trick. If you've not been familiar with this, but I'm not really sure because there's so many here who have done this already, maybe we can skip this, was originally developed to have intermediate masters for multiple master, multiple master interpolations. Yes. You see here, a typical use case is the crossbar of the E. Usually, if you go from very light to very bold, you see here the smileys in the middle especially, it looks very terrible, the crossbar. And so what you do is you add a middle master anywhere you like, and you can have these brace layers. You can have a two-master setup for your font and insert brace layers where you need them exactly, so they don't all have to be at the same design space coordinate. You can, for the lowercase e, maybe makes sense to have it exactly in the middle, and for the lowercase a, maybe more towards the light, and so on. And once you add it there, you see everything is good, and all the smileys are happy. Yes, that's the brace layer. Yeah, and now we would add this as a virtual master. You see here another example, the ascender height, and that means, from multiple master thinking, there's the one corner in the design space is missing here, right? But we can leave this behind safely now, and in OTVAR, the deltas are calculated and can be added on top, and it works nicely. Fantastico. Yes. Okay, similar thing. If you have used the brace trick, you may have also used the bracket trick. Yeah? The bracket trick is for switching incompatible shapes. Typical example is the dollar sign. As you see, in light weights, the crossbar goes all the way through, and in bolder weights, you can't do that. So what you do is you set up two separate interpolations, right? One with two little stubs there, and one with one crossbar going through. And you switch at one point here. I gave it the number 100. At one point, you switch from one to the other, and that results into a nice interpolation of the dollar sign, and the crossbar splits in two at the right moment. And this now also works in open type variations from Glyphs, so you can reuse your old bracket tricks. Yay! Cool. Yeah, and you can do stuff like this. This is one of the results of the workshop today at noon, and I'm really happy that I can sit with 70 adults in one room, draw a dog in a submarine, and not be taken away. It's fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. You can read all about creating variable fonts and glyphs with the tutorial of the same name on our website. I guess most of you are familiar with the tutorial page of our website. and it's been up there for about a month. Okay, about updates. So this is about, this was everything I could tell you about variable fonts in Glyphs. Actually, there would be much more, but we don't have the time here. But I want to give you...
Maybe just, again, I chip in for the technical details. There is a lot of other things, like there is a stat table which is in quite nice shape, and a few other details that are necessary for the variable fonts, but there are tiny, some things missing here and there, and that's why we still keep the beta tag on the variable font export. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, stat table. Updates. I want to give you a few updates. The first thing I want to tell you about is Vienna. Vienna is my hometown, as some of you may or may not know, and it's a beautiful city. This is what it looks like close to where I live. It's really nice, yeah. And yes, some of you know that I travel a lot for this job, right? So I'm away from Vienna a lot, and that means that I'm homesick a lot. So I miss my home city incredibly because I'm gone half of the time, and you know, when I'm lonely at night in the conference hotel rooms, and you know, I'm thinking about what is it like back in Vienna, and what is it like back at home, and then I watch the news, right, from home, and the homesickness is gone. So thank you for this political joke. This was my one and only political joke, I think. Maybe. No, this is not why I was going to tell you about Vienna. This is why I was going to tell you about Vienna. Glyphs has changed its legal form. It is now, it turned into a four-letter word. It's a GmbH. And I think GmbH translates to English as limited liability something. So we are limited liability now, whatever that means in English, I don't know. And we are officially based in Vienna. So that makes Glyphs the very first font editor from Austria. Yes. And the cool thing is, like you know, Georg and I talk a lot on the phone and stuff, and ever since we've moved our headquarters to Vienna, he's been using more Austriacisms in his German. Yes! And but that's not the only new thing I have to tell you. Now, you have been identifying Georg and me as Glyphs, right? But that does not suffice anymore. We are more people now. And when you create a GmbH, you have to have a Geschäftsführerin, which means managing director, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Say hello to our managing director, who cannot be here today, unfortunately, Verena Scharinger. Yes. And she's fantastic. She handles our budget. So if you want sponsorship money from us, and you want to get on her good side, so be nice to her. This is Verena Scharinger, and I believe I want to see this ranking sometime soon. Yes! Woman power! She's our boss, it's true. All right, this is not the only update I want to give you. I'm a little late with this. We updated our goodie. You know, our old goodie. So, one slide back. I'll give you a PDF, honey. So this was our no, we don't have the time now to go back now. We have to. Yes, sorry. We do. 1 more second. Okay, I have to. All right. You want to take a selfie with it? You can. I'll stand with you in front of it if you like. Okay. All right. Now this, you've possibly known this from last year. No, wait a minute, not so fast. So, yes, still has to learn that. So, We're having fun here tonight. It's great. This was our goodie last year. It's fantastic. It's a smartphone stand, a foldable smartphone stand. Fantastic. It was from one sheet of heavy paper. You could fold it together. Fantastic. Slide in your smartphone and watch your favorite movies in your lonely hotel rooms. And as I do every night. Watch movies of Vienna, and by the way, Thomas Meyer, he created this. It was fantastic. He's in the room today. It was absolutely great. But there's one thing. It was pretty complex for many people. Most people could not fold it together. So we thought, okay, there's one thing that was really great about it. It was one piece, right, that you could put to use, but the other thing was too complex. So we have to have one piece that is more simple, and so we came up with this, right? And and I think so. This it's called a coaster in English, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? It's a coaster. In German, it's a Bierdeckel. Yeah, so yeah, fantastic. And I think it's easier to use, and I've not really seen anyone use it wrongly so far. We did have a secret beta test 1 month ago at somebody's birthday party, I don't know who, and some of you were there, right? So, and this was the unofficial introduction, and yes, last night was the official introduction of our coaster. Yes, fantastic. Okay, so have a lot of fun with our goodies. And how are we doing for time? Oh, we're finished early, right? So okay, so maybe I should still tell you one more thing. Yes, I'll tell you about Glyphs 2.5. You see here on this slide, the B for beta is missing. That's because the beta is finished, because Glyphs 2.5 is finished. And there have been a lot of things happening in Glyphs, a lot of updates in Glyphs 2.5. And you can read it all on a blog post that will be, I have to push on the Git repository on this machine, and I don't have access to it right now. So after this, you will be able to read all the news about Glyphs 2.5. One little glitch that happened is, remember the last stable version was 2.4.4, and I forgot to write a blog post about it, so that blog post includes 2.4.4 and 2.5 changes, right? So both, all of these. And we don't have time to go through everything that's new, but I'll give you a few highlights. Here we go. There is a new command you have called make corner. You can select parts of your path, and it will, for instance, it's great for removing a serif. It will continue the outlines that are at the edges of your selection, zip, and until they intersect, and that's what you get. So that's make corner. Another thing, you know how to add handles in Glyphs. It's very different from Illustrator, and you option click usually to add the handles, and then you put the handles into position. Now, if you hold down your shift click, your shift key, not your shift click, your shift key as well, Glyphs will try to guess, make an informed guess about which direction your handle should go. It tries to keep them horizontal or vertical. Horizontal, vertical, so like this. And another thing, smart components. Some of you have been working with smart components. They are a godsend for CJK design, I've been told. And we have expanded that technology with smart handles. You see this here? You can add an anchor with the name of your smart axis at the various positions in your designs, and they will appear as handles in your component, and you can drag. No more sliders. So no more sliders. Yeah, no more sliders. Fantastic. So we've been discussing about what's the best user interface for variable fonts. Yeah, sliders. Yeah. No more sliders. Okay, another thing is Glyphs. like was and partially still is based on the Glyphs export mechanism is based on MakeOTF. As some of you may know, MakeOTF has problems with multiple encodings. So to give one and the same glyph different encodings, different Unicode values, not possible. Yeah? So we circumvent MakeOTF in this case, and now you can have multiple encodings. For instance, you can give your uppercase letters, here the uppercase A, both the uppercase and lowercase a Unicode. Fantastic. And what's even better, you delete all your lowercase, you update the glyph info on your uppercase, and then they will automatically get the lowercase Unicodes added to them. Fantastico, right? So no more double glyphs for your all caps fonts. Another thing, this was a popular request, and we finally gave in, is project-specific sidebar elements. People love the filters we have on the sidebar, but sometimes, you know, I only need this for this one project, and I don't want to clutter up the interface for all the other projects, and I'm working on 10 projects side by side, and so now you can put a custom filter plist, right? It's very easy to set up in the same folder right next to your Glyphs file, and next time you reopen that window, the contents of that plist will show up, and with the file name actually. You see here custom filter mybigproject.plist, and it shows up as my big project in the sidebar. Fantastic. So this will help you manage your special needs for your projects and synchronize glyph sets between multiple fonts of the same project. Fantastic. Great. Next thing. Oh, color fonts. People, for those of you who have been making color fonts, we have a few new useful parameters. We have, you see here, 2 color palette parameters. On exports, you can exchange or swap the color palette for certain instances. So you can have one instance with one color set, another instance with another color set, and you can do this for both CPAL and SVG tables. So CPAL color, these are the Microsoft fonts, and the SVG's been, everyone's been talking about. The funny thing is that we thought that the SVG color fonts, this is the way the whole industry would be going, but now Safari supports color CPAL. Fantastic. Okay, another thing we did is, for those of you who have been doing SBIX fonts, you know, these are bitmaps in your glyphs, your emojis on your iPhones and Macs and so forth. They are SBIX fonts. But you could only use them on Apple machines, right? So, and there was no way to use them anywhere else, because everything else supported SVG or color CPAL, but no one else supported SBIX. So, but SVG also supports bitmaps. So what we can do is we can have an equivalent SVG when you export it with this parameter, and you can use the same bitmap font on both your Mac, your iPhone, and your Android, and I don't know about Android, but on your Windows devices. Fantastic. So that's news about color. Oh, this is a bigger topic. We have changed a lot, improved a lot in terms of our TrueType support. One thing that's new is that you can, the Glyphs now natively opens, edits and saves and converts TrueType curves, and you can actually edit TrueType in your edit view. The only thing is you cannot draw a new one TrueType from scratch yet, but it's very easy. You start drawing your Béziers, and then you convert to TrueType. And yeah, this is, for instance, an easy fix for the harmonization problem. You just get rid of the on-curve nodes. And in TrueType, you can do that. In PostScript, you can't. So that's pretty cool. And you can convert back and forth between quadratic and cubic Béziers. Another thing is the TrueType hinting we have built in If you do manual TrueType hinting, you can set separate TrueType zones, and for certain zones, you can add so-called deltas for certain pixel sizes, in which the zone is rounded up. For instance, here the light in 13 ppm is rounded to the next pixel edge upwards, right? Your best workflow probably is to do a test run, and then decide in which sizes you need to round up and down, and just add these things. Very easy. There's this little delta button next to every zone. And very similar thing we have for stems. So if you have your TrueType stems, you can also define at which ppm sizes you want to round up, you want to round down. And now it's gotten quieter in the audience. So it's like it's the TrueType part. Everyone goes, yeah, okay. But it gets even more boring than that. Now, when you open a TrueType font, as I told you before, the TrueType curves are preserved. And another thing that's preserved is the TrueType hinting that's already in the TrueTypes. And you see here, it automatically adds custom parameters called prep table assembly, FPGM font program table assembly, and control value table, CBT table, okay. And this is info you do not want to edit yourself, but this is just in there to preserve the info that was, or the hinting info that was already in the font. So if you just open a TTF, just want to change the names or something, and then save it again, you can do that now, and without any loss of your TrueType hinting. Really cool. Yes, and our manual TrueType hinting has been massively improved. And for this, we're eternally thankful to many people in the audience. It's too many to mention. Just want to give a special shout out to Monica Bartels, who gave us very valuable feedback and constructive criticism. And we were able to redo basically the user experience of manually hinting in TrueType. One thing that's really handy is also that you get to see you also see it here. The point indexes of your on-curve nodes. Another thing you can do straight out of the box, Glyphs now contains a little web server. And what it does is it shows it shows a waterfall of your current glyph as a TrueType WAF. And you just you right-click and say, oh, give me the TrueType server address. I don't know what it's called, a TrueType preview address. And you can copy a local URL into your clipboard. You paste it in your browser. Hint, hint. You can also do this in a Windows browser running in virtualization, as you see here on the left edge of the screen. This is Edge running on the edge. And you see, while you're editing, you can see live the preview of the waterfall of your glyph, right where it matters in Windows, and not, you don't get. Of course, you also get this nice pixelated preview inside the glyphs area, edit view, but it's not quite the real thing, right? So it still helps to see the actual pixels being rendered. Yeah?
It doesn't show only the one glyph. If you have a longer text, it will show all that, so that you have more context.
Yeah. So it updates like every second or so. So it's really handy. Okay. But that's not all. There's hundreds of features we've added, hundreds of updates we did, hundreds of little improvements we made. There's too much to talk about here. There is a blog post up in about 10 minutes, and you can read all about it at your leisure. So this is Glyphs 2.5, and it's out very soon, just like my blog post. We are busy right now with a stage presentation, so you can download it later. Yes, yeah, all you need to do is check for updates, yes. This is the first time we officially announced now that this will be the last 2.x version. So the next, maybe there will be a 2.5.1 bug fix update, but that's going to be about it. So the next version will be because that's the way we count in font editor land now. After 2.5 will be 4.0. So only some people in the audience understood this now. No, next version will be Glyphs 3. But it's still we're still early in our development. There are 3 people working on it right now. Apart from Georg, there is Grzegorz, who is in the audience somewhere. I didn't see him anymore. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Grzegorz, yay. Round of applause for Grzegorz. He, we had this, at TYPO Stammtisch, we had this nice presentation from Veronika, where we say type together is working everywhere on the world. Yeah. And slowly but surely, this is what Glyphs is also turning into. We're based in Vienna, but we have our first, or a second office in Berlin. And then we have another one working from Warsaw, Grzegorz, and another one working from Reading, Martin. And so these 3 coders will give you Glyphs 3.0. We cannot, please understand, it's still too early to say any date. It's too early to say when we are going to release. And it's too early to give you any details yet. So we're not talking about Glyphs 3 today. It's only about 2.5. So, and 2.5 is the last thing. Another update I want to give you is we have an April sale. For those of you who are running a foundry that is present on MyFonts, you may have gotten a newsletter the other day where you could buy Glyphs and Glyphs Mini at a discount, plus the 5 commercial plugins that are available. Oh, now it's 6, I think. Yeah. And so you get discounts for the commercial plugins and for Glyphs. Of course, we will be, I think this Monday will be selling, not selling out, but sending out, sending out our an email to our registered users, also, so that reaches also the people that are not signed up with MyFonts. We offer a discount for Glyphs and Glyphs Mini. By the way, if you don't have Glyphs or Glyphs Mini yet and you always wanted to try out, here are the codes you can use on our web store. So TYPO Labs Love and TYPO Labs Love Mini. Yeah. So don't use the TYPO Labs Love code if you're a student, because you get a better discount if you're a student. So. And it's not only for Glyphs, but it's also for these 5 commercial plugins. You've probably, most of you have used some of them. Maybe now is a good time to complete your library of commercial plugins. And yes, all of these are off 20% until the end of April, so for another 2 weeks. And the sale will end on the 30th of April. All right. This means that, so one thing that's left for me to say is that, of course, Glyphs is a business. It's a GmbH now, and it puts bread on the table for about 5, 6, 7 people and their families. This is cool. But of course, Glyphs is much more than that. Glyphs is like a community project. Many of the things, many of the features we have in Glyphs, we could never have done on our own. And we are very thankful for the continued input we get from all of you. I see many faces, almost crying now. No, we're really happy because we don't speak, write, or read all the languages we support in Glyphs. Of course not, but people sit down with us for 3 days and tell us exactly how this script works, and we would need that and that and that, and this is really cumbersome in this script. Can you have a solution? And this is how this feedback, this input from you, allows us to further develop Glyphs. So a big thank you to you. So thank you. So. Glyphs loves you. Thank you. And I hope you're still in time.
Thank you. Yes, you do have time. And